Hey, Vlad here, DevInsidy.com. Welcome to another video. This one is hopefully going to be short, and it is about Scala Clippy, which is a compiler plugin that enhances your error messages. Let's get right to it. Before we get into Scala Clippy, I would like to mention that it was created by Softwaremill, a Polish-based company which also maintains the Scala Times newsletter. Even though this video is not sponsored by Softwaremill, I would like to thank them for always including links to my videos in their newsletter by pointing out that they are hiring remote Scala engineers. Check out softwaremill.com/join-us for more information, but please be aware that at least good Polish skills are required. Which reminds me, if you would like to become a sponsor on this channel, just send an email to info@devinsidy.com. Alright, as already mentioned before, the info Scala Clippy is a compiler plugin which intercepts your compiler messages, recognizes them, and enhances them with additional information. And it has also a couple of other features up its sleeve, but we're going to get to that. We're going to mainly use SBT today, but I would really like to point out again and to stress this fact that what we're dealing with here is a compiler plugin, and therefore it can be used with any other build tool or even without any build tools whatsoever. As very often in my videos, I'm using an Ubuntu 18.04 virtual machine, and today, because I want to show you the differences between the regular output and output with Scala Clippy, we're going to set up a slightly weird SBT build, and I hope that it's not going to be too confusing for you. So let me just open the terminal, and I'm going to switch into my dev folder, and I'm going to create a directory. I'm going to call it Clippy-playground, okay? And I'm just going to open it with Visual Studio Code like this. As always, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to specify our SBT version, build.properties like this, and the SBT 1.3.2 is out these days. Okay, now as I already mentioned several times, Clippy is a compiler plugin, but in fact there is an SBT plugin out there which adds the compiler plugin for you. You don't need to use it, and in fact I'm going to show you both ways, but we're going to start with the plugin. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a plugins.sbt over here, and we're going to add the SBT plugin, which is, as I already mentioned, from Softwaremill, Clippy like this, and it's called plugin-sbt like this, and the latest version is 0.6.1 like that. Okay, now let's go and create the build.sbt like this, and we're going to change a few settings. Since SBT 1.3.0, I'm actually thinking about making a video about it. There are a few really cool features. The first one is this one. It's called unchanged build source. Okay, and we can set a value like this: reload on source changes. So SBT is kind of old-ish these days. It's been around for probably like 10 years or so, maybe a bit less. And it had this one thing that was not very user-friendly. Every time you would change the build, you would need to go and explicitly reload things. So you can actually set this setting since SBT 1.3.0, especially if I type correctly, like this. And what it will do is, let's say you run the compile command. Before the compile command runs, it will look at the build file, and if there were changes, it will actually reload it for you. It's very useful, especially for continuous compilation and so on. So we have that, and also since SBT 1.3.0, there is also this thing called the supershell, which basically modifies the output a little bit, and it basically shows you how long-running tasks are running. What we're doing today is we're dealing with very, very small projects, and then if we enable the supershell, which is enabled by default, then we're going to see like a lot of flickering, right? Because there will be like an extra output which will run for like 1 second, and then it will disappear again. So what I like to do in my projects is usually to turn it off. So we're going to do this build. Use supershell, and we're going to set it like this to false. It's kind of cold in here. It's really hard to type. All right, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the Scala version, and unfortunately Clippy is not published yet for Scala 2.13, so we're going to end up using 2.12.10, which is the latest one. Okay, now another SBT thing that I wish was disabled by default is the server. We're not going to use the server, so I'm just going to do that. All right, so now we can actually finally start setting up our project. And it's going to be a multiple project, and one project is going to use Clippy, the other one is not going to use Clippy. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create the root project, which is going to be called Clippy playground like this. Okay, and it's going to be simply a project in the current file, right? So in the current folder like that. Okay, and we're going to aggregate which means that every time we're inside of the Clippy playground, every command that we're going to send is going to also be sent to two sub-projects, which we don't have yet, but I'm already going to type them out. So this one is going to have without Clippy, and this one is going to be with Clippy. Okay, with Clippy, like this. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that like this, and I'm going to paste that over here, and I'm going to call this one. This one is going to be without Clippy, like this. Okay, and it's going to be in without Clippy, like this. And maybe we should go already and create this folder just so that we don't forget. And no, not in project, like that. Okay, so it's going to be a folder, and it's going to be called without Clippy, like that. And we're going to copy that like this, paste it over here, and it's going to be called with Clippy, like this. Okay, so let's create yet another sibling over here. Not in project. What are you doing? Like this. New folder with Clippy, like this. Okay, so now we have these two folders. Great. So the next thing that we're going to do is because we're adding this plugin to the entire thing, we're actually going to go into without Clippy over here, and we're going to create a build file in there. We're going to create a build file in there just so that we can go in there and disable the plugin, disable plugins, and we can just do Clippy SBT plugin, like this. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into without Clippy, and we're going to create a new file under source main Scala, and we're going to call it main.scala. Okay, like this, and we're just going to have object main, capital main, extends app, like this, and we're just going to have list 1, 2, 3, and we're going to use for each, but the E is usually a small one, but we're going to use a capital one on purpose so that we see the compile error messages. Okay, and the next part is going to be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to open a console. Okay, and I'm going to go into the without Clippy folder, without Clippy, like this. Okay, so this is what we have in there. So we have source build spt, and we have the source folder, and we have build spt. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a symlink. Okay, so I'm going to create a symlink, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to go back down into without Clippy / source, right? So basically, we want to take the source folder from without Clippy, and we want to symlink it to source, like this. Okay, let's see if I did it correctly. So now if I open with Clippy, there's nothing in there. It's probably because I did it wrong. Of course I did it wrong. I wanted to type that whole thing in the with Clippy folder. Okay, like this. Was Clippy, like this. So this is where I wanted to create the symlink. Okay, so now I have the symlink. So inside of the with Clippy folder, there is a symlink called source, and it goes up into the without Clippy source folder. Okay, so if I refresh over here now, I should be able to see it. And in fact, Visual Studio Code has this tiny arrow to show that this is a symbolic link, right? So this means that I'm changing only one file, but it sort of changes in two places. Okay, so what we can do now is we can just launch SBT in the upper folder, right, in this one. Okay, I'm going to do Control L. I'm going to launch SBT. In fact, a lot of what we will do today will be in the terminal, so I'm actually going to create a bit more space over here. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I can do I can do tilde compile, and what it will do, it will compile basically the main file twice. Once it will compile it in one project, and the other one it will compile it in the other project. And we have a class not found exception. What the? Hold up. Let's do this again. Oh my God, what is this? Utils try with. What? Why? All right, so I found the issue, and the issue was the Scala 2.12.10 version. I have no idea why it didn't work. It only worked for 2.12.8. Because I actually looked into Maven, and the way it's published, it is not published from minor version, so it should have actually worked. But in any case, so now it works. It works for 2.12.8 as of right now, which is the end of September. This is the latest one version for which it works. So again, we have the main file, and even though it's one file, it is actually symlinked, and therefore, one time it's compiled without Clippy, and the other one it's compiled with Clippy, right? So the same file is compiled twice. And so this is how the regular error message looks like. And over here, what we also see is this. We see Clippy advices for each is case sensitive. Now we're going to talk about where these advices come from. For now, let's just keep playing around. So let's just do Let's just do tilde compile like this. And in fact, let me actually create a bit more space like that. Okay, so we're going to comment this one out, and we're going to do source, and we're going to have some sort of int. Okay, and then we're going to have target, and we're going to have string over here, and we're going to have source over here. All right, so this obviously does not compile, right? So in both cases it says, hey, this is a type mismatch. Okay, now in this case Clippy doesn't seem to add more information, but in fact there is a setting that I really wish that that it was the default. Okay, so we're going to go over here, we're going to find the Clippy playground, the without Clippy, the with Clippy. Okay, so this one is with Clippy, and we're going to go over here and we're going to say settings, and over here we're going to say Clippy colors enabled, okay, equals true, like this. Okay, so now that it's enabled, and by the way, let me scroll down. As you can see, it reloaded automatically because this is SPT 130, and now we actually see syntax highlighting, right? This is apparently has been stolen from Ammonite, but in any case, you see exactly the error message is marked, and you have syntax highlighting in the code itself. Okay, so let me create actually even more space over here, because this is again, as I already mentioned, this is going to be the place where we're going to need the most. Okay, so this is even more useful when your types get really longer. Okay, so let's go over here, for example, and let's say that this is going to be a list that has a set inside of it, and has a map inside of it, and it has a string, and it has an int. Okay, like this. So let me copy that. Let me paste it over here, and let's say that we made a mistake, okay, and we put an integer over here, okay, right? So over here, Clippy will realize that the difference is only over here, okay? Let's break it even more, okay? So let's say that it's not a list of set of map. Let's say that this is a list of array over here, map, right? Now let's put a string back into here, okay? So now we're gonna see, oh, the difference is over there. And what if we break both of them, like this? It's still going to find exactly what we need, which is over here. What you might not like is this syntax highlighting, because it actually kind of draws your attention away from the error message. And luckily, there is a way to fix that. So we need to go into the build file, and maybe, maybe I'm just going to press that so it just goes away. Okay, so we're going to go into with Clippy, and we have our settings. And for this one, we need to import a bit. We need to import a few keys. So we need to import com.softwaremill.clippy, like this. Clippy SPT plugin Clippy color, like this. We can go down over here into the settings, and we're going to have a comma over here, and we're going to say Clippy color diff, right? So this is the one that we just had in red, and I'm going to set it to none because I want to show you that this is that this is an option. And so if you specify it to none, then the default is not going to be changed. But then you can go into Clippy color comment. Let's start with comment, and we can set it to some, right, because it's an option, and then we can go to Clippy color dot none, right? So this is not the none from option, this is just a magic value. Okay, so none means just remove it. Okay, so now we're going to do this 4 times, right? Forgot the comma, right? Because we have the comment, we have the type, we have the literal like this, and we also have the, okay, so now it worked. Okay, and now we also have the keyword. Okay, so now all of them are none, and we're going to save that. We're going to look into our console. Maybe we need to save the, oh, it actually managed. All right, so now we actually see only the error message, and you can even go ahead into the build file and change this file to, actually I haven't tried this, but probably you could do something like Clippy color. I'm just guessing, but probably you can do some like magenta. No, you can't. Maybe it's just a maybe it's just hard coded actually. Dot magenta. Let's try it out. Retry. And it seems like I guessed right. Okay, so now we actually have this in magenta. Okay, but let's actually revert that. Let's just say that it should be none. Right, so not this none, but the the option none. And now we always see the error messages, the different parts marked. This helps a lot, especially if you do functional programming with septa functors and shit. Anyway, you saw me guessing the colors, but I actually have prepared a page for you. So this is in GitHub Softwaremill Scala Clippy, and the link will be down in the description. But essentially, there is a file called Clippy SBT plugin, and you can see all the values, right? So these are all the colors, and you know, some other things, you know, the things that are auto imported. So these are going to be all the values, all the colors, all the things that you can do. And over here, you also see how you can control the compiler plugin directly, right? So if you're not using the SBT plugin. In fact, let me actually show you how to do that real quick. So let me go back. So now we're going to go to plugins. And by the way, look at the breadcrumbs if you feel a little bit lost. And you know, I'm also going to do that. But still, you know, the breadcrumbs always show you in which file I am, right? So let's not add the entire plugin to all of them. Let's go to the build SBT for without Clippy and also remove this one line. But what we will do actually now is we're going to go to with Clippy, and with Clippy will also have a build.sbt file. Okay, and this one will actually have add compiler plugin, right? So this is a compiler plugin. Okay, so we're going to have com.softwaremill.clippy like this, and we're going to have over here, we're going to have the plugin, and the version is going to be 0.6.1. Notice that in the plugins over here, we use the plugin-sbt, and over here we use just a plugin. Okay, and one important thing is we need to also include the classifier, which is just another Maven coordinate. Okay, so it's going to be like this, classifier bundle. Okay, so basically the jar is going to be called plugin -061 and then bundle or underscore bundle or something like this. Okay, so let me actually create more spaces. We see this entire thing like this. Okay, so let's go back to the main build, which is, where is it? It is, whoa, it is over here. Let me actually have more space. Okay, so now we don't need this, and now all of these settings are not going to work, right? Because these settings are all, you know, they're coming from the plugin. Okay, so instead we're going to do things manually. Okay, so we're going to say that we actually want to add to Scala C options, right? So this is a compiler plugin, so we need to set a few compiler flags. Okay, so they always start with -p and then a column and then Clippy and then another column, and in this case we want to set colors to true, right? So this is the same thing as over here. Okay, let me put a comma here and let me just clone it a couple of times. So the next one is going to be colors -diff, and it's going to be red in our case, or you know, let's make them yellow just for fun. Okay, so the next one is going to be colors -comment, and it's going to be none. Notice the small none, the small n. Okay, so now we're going to have type, which is also going to be none. Now we're also going to have literal like this. It's also going to be none. And now we're going to have the keyword, whoops, over here like this, keyword, and it's also going to be none. And we ended up not needing the last one like this. Okay, let's save that. Let's go over here. Let's do a retry. Let's see if it actually picked up all the changes, because sometimes it's not compile, it's compiler. Which one is it? Was Clippy? Okay, compiler plugin. As I mentioned, it's really cold here. It's really hard to type. All right, so we have the compiler plugin, and we see the thing in yellow because I specified it to be yellow. Where is it? Yellow, yellow, yellow. Let's make it red again. Man, I love this auto reloading from SBT that I don't need to do anything. I just change it and boom, it works. Now, as I already mentioned 1,000 times, this is a compiler plugin, and a compiler is a very central point in your development process. And I'm hammering on this point to point out that, you know, that Clippy works with other tools as well, like Bloop and Metals. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to my extensions, and I'm going to type in Metals, which was disabled all of this time. And by the way, if you don't know what Bloop or Metals is, I actually have videos about them already. Okay, so now it's enabled, and now it will probably wake up in just a second, and it will start it will start harassing me about things. Yeah, let's import the build, and let's also click save over here, because then it will prompt me to create a Scala FMT file, which is over here. It uses the 201, which is cool. So now I'm going to press save, and it's going to download Scala FMT and so on. So what it does, it exports the SBT build into Bloop, and it pretty much already finished in just a few seconds. And then I'm going to show you how to run this with Bloop, and also that will see the error messages in Visual Studio Code as well, right? The one that are coming through Bloop to Metals. Okay, so for example, we're gonna have so we still have an error message over here, but we don't see it for some reason. There we go. There we go. It woke up. So we see the error message over here, and we need to click over here so we see it over there as well. Do we? Do you not see it? Maybe we don't see it over here because this is a symlink. But in any case, if we open the terminal again and click over here on problems, then we actually see, okay, not in this one, but in the one where we actually have some advice, like this one. We should actually see, why does it show only without Clippy? Show me the one with Clippy, like this. How about this one? Last time I tried, it actually showed me the advice over here as well. I'm not sure why it still shows me only without Clippy. Maybe I have to click on, hold on, main here. No, main here. No, it's probably because of my weird build, but I swear to God, when I was practicing for this video, I actually saw the error message over there as well. Maybe let's clean and let's try this again. Compile. Let's look at the problems. I mean, this is SBT compilation anyway. It's actually kind of weird. Without Clippy, with Clippy, why doesn't this thing change? It used to change. In any case, let's also go and try to run this with Bloop. Okay, so if I go out over here and I do Bloop and I do Bloop compile with Clippy, like this. Okay, so we see the advice, right? So Bloop understand this, and if we do without Clippy, right, then we don't see the advice. And the same thing should work with these two, right? So like this, and let me have that. Okay, so let's go without Clippy. We don't need to, but with Clippy, as you can see, you also see the colors, which is really great. I'm actually kind of disappointed that you don't see it in here because I swear to God, I saw it over here, and in fact, I even have a note in my script that says that the file needs to be in focus, and you know, it is in focus. It's over here. It's over here. It is in focus, but I still don't see this this error message like this. Okay. I should see the Clippy advice over here as well. I swear to God, I saw it before. I don't know what's wrong right now. Another thing that I want to point out that it also, you know, because you know it works for SBT as well, but again, it's a compiler plugin, so it also works inside of the SBT console, for example, which I'm going to show you in just a second when it finally finishes loading. Right, so I'm going to go into with Clippy console like this. All right, and let's for example copy that and paste it over here like that. What's happening? Oh, I can't go into console if that thing doesn't compile. All right, there we go. Oh, come on, this one. All right, and I still have no idea why it says unknown color true. It is a very known color. All right, so like this, we see the Clippy advice, and also if we had these two like that, I'm gonna copy them. I'm gonna paste them over here. And it didn't like that because it's a def. It should be a def like this. All right, like that. Let's paste that like this. Okay, as you can see, you also see the colors in the console. Okay, let's get out of here and go back to the regular compilation like this. Let me also save the file. All right, so now let's take a look at where all of these advices come from. So I'm going to go back to Windows, and I have the Scala Clippy website open, which is scala-clippy.org. And if you click on Browse, we're going to see a table with all the advices available. And let's go through the table from the right. So the last column is just a suggest and edit button, so you can click over here and you can suggest and edit if you see a mistake or something. The third column, you know, the second from the right, is the library for which the advice is applicable. And notice that it doesn't have this typical, you know, minor major stuff. I'm sorry, not the minor major, but it doesn't have the you know, the Scala version, right? So it doesn't have the underscore to 12 or underscore to 11 or anything like this, right? So you just see the version, and you can use those axes to say that, you know, that it should apply for the minor versions, or you know, maybe somewhere later over here for the Which is the second? No, so we have major, minor, patch. Okay, so this one is the minor one. This one is the patch one. Okay, so this one is the actual advice, right? So this is the advice that you will see. It will say import this to enable combinator syntax for play JSON, and this over here is a regular expression that will pattern match on the actual compiler error message, and if it fits the regex, then you're gonna see this advice. Well, the website is obviously for humans, and by the way, notice that there aren't that many advices, and you guys should probably contribute to it more because it's a really actually cool tool, but it's obviously only as useful as the advices that we add to them. Okay, so let's go back to SBT, and what the compiler is doing is basically the first time you compile something. Let me actually open another terminal over here. Okay, and I'm gonna go into my home folder, and there will be a folder called Clippy. Okay, and inside of it we're gonna have the clippy.json.gz. So we can so it's a gunzip file, so we can gunzip, and we need to specify with gunzip that we want to keep the original file. Okay, if it had been removed, then the next time we're gonna compile, it's gonna be downloaded again. Okay, but we just want to unpack it. Okay, so now it's over there, and we can actually open it with Visual Studio Code. Okay, so now it's just going to open somewhere over here, and let me actually close the console like this. And so what we see over here is, in fact, maybe we can do, hold up, can we do format document? Yeah, we can. Great. Okay, so this is just JSON, and we have a version, and we have a bunch of advices which I'm going to collapse, and we're going to have fatal warnings, and we're going to talk about fatal warnings a bit later. Okay, so if we open the advices, I'm going to see that, just a bunch of advices, right? Like this, like this, like that. Let me just open let's actually look at this one. So this is an error. Not sure why I opened this one. Let's look at, I collapsed it wrong. Okay, I wanted to collapse the whole thing. Yeah, okay, so this one is completely open. So it starts over here, it goes until here. So this is an arrow, a type is not a member, and it's a value call, and this is the regex, and this is going to be the text that will be displayed, and this is the library for which it is applied for, right? So it's applied for AutoWire by Howie, and the version is 0.25. Now there is a way to create our own advices, and in fact we're going to create our own advices in just a second. For now I'm going to show you two ways how to load your files with your advices. The first way is we're going to go to with Clippy, which is basically the root of our project, right? We can pretty much ignore the without Clippy one. Okay, and we're going to create a file in there, and we need to call it .clippy.json, like this. And so in this file we're going to be able to create our own advices, but we're a little bit limited. So if I go back to my other virtual desktop, and I'm going to go to a compilation arrow over here, right? So this is just a trait called compilation arrow, and if I grab for case class, we're going to see only 7 matches. So we can do type mismatch errors, we can do not found errors, we can do not a member error, we can do implicit not found error, we can do type class not found error, and divergent implicit expansion error. Okay, and also type arguments do not conform to overloaded bounds error. And I believe this was the last one. Yeah, this was the last one. All right, so these are the 7s that we have. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually create our own. And for that, we're going to go and we're going to first of all, let's start creating the sort of the scaffolding. Okay, so it's gonna it has to look exactly the same as this file. Okay, so if I go up and if I collapse the advices, all of them like this, right? So we need to have at least this. Okay, like that. And we need to have the bottom, which is going to be like that. So we're going to have it like that. And over here, we just need the array with the advices. So it's like this. Okay, so we're going to have it over here, and the array is going to be closed at some point. Okay, so this is what we have. So this is like the minimal JSON. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and find the arrow for each. Okay, for each. This is the one, and I'm just going to go and copy this entire thing, because what we're going to do is we're going to have basically exactly the same thing for all. Okay, so this is an array, and I'm just going to paste it over here, and now over here I'm going to go and say, instead of for each like this, I'm just going to say for all, like this, for all. Okay, and again, this is the message that will be displayed. So I'm just going to do some hello world stuff in this. So I'm going to say this is coming from the .clippy.json file, which is in the current project, and I'm just going to say hello world. Maybe let's do W capital, like this. Okay, hello world, like this. Okay, so this actually should be enough. So if I open the console again, and actually we don't need this one, we can close this one. Okay, so this is the one with our main, which does not compile. Let's actually do that. Let's let's go here and let's just do something like list 1, 2, 3 for all. Okay, let's just pick the one if all of them are greater than 0, like this. Okay, so let's see, and it says for all is not a member, but we don't see our message. Why don't we see our message? Oh yeah, we don't see our message because for some reason, I don't know actually understand why, but for some reason we actually need to specify where the root of our project is. So we need to go back to the build SPT, to the main one, which is over here, right? And over here at the very bottom, we're also going to say -p colon Clippy project root equals, and in our case it's called with -Clippy, like this. Okay, so SPT build needs to be re-imported. Yeah, let's not do it now. Let's forget about Bloop for now. Okay, so now we can see Clippy advises project hello world, which is great. Now technically we could probably hijack this, right, and have like a .clippy.json file laying somewhere else in our file system, right? So we can do over here home Vlad and so on and so on. But we're not going to do this. Okay, we're not going to do this. This is fine for us. Save the file, which is why SPT reloaded the whole thing. In fact, let's also go back to using the SPT plugin because probably most of you guys are going to use the SPT plugin. Okay, so let's enable that. Let's throw out this whole thing like this, and I forgot one line like that. Let's enable this import in WizClippy in the build. We don't need to add the compiler plugin anymore, but in the other one, which is this one, we actually need to disable the plugin anymore. We need to disable it, and we need to go to plugins SPT. Over here, you need to add in the plugin, and we also need, let's not forget, let's go to build, and we also need to specify the project root. Okay, so the same way as we just did, I'm going to say Clippy project root colon equals sum, and we're just going to say wiz -Clippy. Okay, let's look at the console. Let's reload. Let's see if I made any mistakes, and it looks like I didn't. Okay, yeah, so without Clippy we don't see the advice. Over here we actually do see the advice, and now because we're using the plugin, we can actually go over here and we can use some SBT specific stuff, right? So we can get the base directory. Okay, we can get the value, and we can just say get path, and it should work exactly the same way, right? So nothing should change. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, and I'm not really sure, but I don't think that we're going to keep changing the build file. So let's maybe also import the metals build. I'm gonna cut it out from the video. All right, now the second way to load files is to have it in a library. So the idea is that you're developing a library and you want to provide the users of your library some advices. Interestingly enough, though, these advices will not work for you when you're inside the library, but still. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna open the terminal over here. I'm going to create actually another one over here, and I already have a library prepared. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm going to open in dev. I'm gonna have a thing called a library, just like this. Okay, so it's gonna open another Visual Studio Code instance, and in fact I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put it to the right. Whoops, that's left. Come on, what's wrong with you? Maybe it's because this one is in full screen. Okay, so this one is the library. So what is happening? So this is the library. I want it to be on the right. What the hell? Okay, whatever. What is happening? I really don't understand. All right. So again, this is the library. I want it to be on the right. Oh my God. What is this? In any case, I guess we're not going to have it on the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and put it into, hold on. So this is the library, I guess. Yeah, this is the library. We're going to go and put it on the second virtual desktop like this. Okay. So this is the first one. This is our project that we have. And if I go down, we're going to have the library, which I'm going to maximize. Okay, so again, at the top, we have the thing that we were playing around with, and over here, we have the library. Okay, and it uses PT132. It uses the same plugin. It also sets the user supershell over here to false. It actually doesn't really matter. Okay, let's go to build. No, stop bothering me. Okay, so over here, we should probably do 2.12.8 as well. right? So it's the same settings, but it also sets the organization, the name, and the version, okay, so that we can use it over there. Okay, so it has in resources a file called clippy.json. So first of all, notice that it's not in the root directory and it's not called .clippy.json. It's just called clippy.json, and it is in resources, right? So everything that is in resources will also be delivered with your library once you publish it. Okay, so let's go in there. And over there, I have the same thing prepared basically as we just had. You know, we had the project hello world, and now I'm going to have over here a library hello world like this. Okay, so its version is, you know, I use the version of the library, right? So it's 001 snapshot. Okay, so what we can do over here is we can go and say sbt clean, and we're going to have publish local. Okay, and while it publishes, let's go back into our main build. Let's go into the build file like this. Let me create a bit more space, even maybe more space like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to add another, we're going to add the library into the project that uses Clippy over here. Okay, so we have the settings. We're just going to have comma over here. We're going to have library dependencies plus equals. I'm going to do dev inside you, and we're going to use the library, which is called library, and the version is going to be 0.0.0.1 snapshot. So it probably managed to publish it. Yeah, it did. Okay, so now I'm going to open the console before I press save. I'm gonna close this one. Okay, so we're over here in SPT. So now I'm going to save that. SPT will notice this and don't show again. Stop bothering me. All right. So now we have two error messages. Okay, so this one came from the library and this one came from the project, and we actually see both of the advices, right? So we have Clippy advises you to try one of these solutions, this one or that one, which is super cool. One of the last things that we're going to see, oh, by the way, if you have your own library and you're not using Clippy yourself, right? So if I go down to the library and I go to the plugins, and if I were to remove this plugin, you can still have this file. Okay, you can still deliver advices for your library, even though you're not using Clippy yourself. Okay, let me go back over here, and what I'm going to show you now is that if I open, okay, so this is still the original one, the big one. I'm just going to close it because otherwise it's going to be confusing. So this one is in, as you can see, in with Clippy .clippy.json. Okay, the rest doesn't really matter. Okay, so if I collapse the advices over here, we also have the fatal warnings. Okay, and over here, and I'm going to pretty much copy paste this from Clippy's website. Okay, it's just going to be this one. So what Clippy can do is it can recognize this pattern, and then it can promote your warning into a compiler error, right? So the compiler plugin has, the Scala compiler has a setting to treat all the warnings as compiler messages. Clippy offers you a gradual way to do this, right? So you can basically mark certain warnings as errors. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be the match may not be exhaustive one. Okay, so I'm going to save that. I'm going to go to the main again, and let's do this. Let's create a bit more space like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a sealed abstract class color. Okay, I'm going to have object color. I'm going to have case object rad extends color, and I'm going to do the same thing with green like this. Okay, and now I'm going to have a method over here. All right, so I'm going to have def_m, which is a color produces a unit, and it just matches on the color. Right, and we're just gonna match on green and basically forget the red. Okay, so I'm gonna do print line green. Okay, so let's look at our into our console, and it looks like it's happy for some reason. Did I forget something? So we have two colors. We have only one. Why doesn't the compiler warn us? What's happening? Oh, for some reason I saved it again, and now it's there. Okay, so as you can see, without Clippy, this was just a warning, and with Clippy, we actually have an entire error. So right, so it says it's the message is the same. Okay, right, but then it says Clippy advises this used to be a warning. Okay, like this. And we should probably also import this whole thing again for Bloop. Right, so let's go into the console. Let's actually, we actually don't need to kill this one. Let's create another one over here. And let's just go and say Bloop compile with Clippy like this. Okay, so as you can see, it also turned into an error, and without Clippy, it did not like that. Oh, in fact, it just compiles. So let's do clean without Clippy, and let's compile it again. And now we see the warning. All right, cool. Now, I don't think that it is possible to augment warnings with advices the same as you do with errors without promoting the warnings to errors, but maybe it will be possible in the future. Which again brings me to the point that there might be no future if you guys don't contribute advices. And in fact, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go to the website, and I've never done this before, but we're going to go and try to actually contribute this advice that we just created. Okay, so for that, we're going to go to contribute over here. Okay, so now it says over here, Scala Clippy is only as good as its advice database. Help other users by submitting an advice for a compilation error that you have encountered. First, paste in the error and we'll see if we can parse it. Only the error message is needed, for example, like this. You will be able to edit the pattern that will be used when matching errors later. Okay, all right, so our error is pretty much, let's see, let's remove that. Let's remove all that. Okay, let's remove all that. Oops, not like this, like that. Okay, so we can close this one and SPT over here, compile. All right, so we only care about without Clippy. Okay, so let's do that. So let's copy that. Maybe it was this. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna copy that. We're gonna go over here. We're gonna paste that. Unfortunately, we cannot parse the error. Oh. All right, let's try again. Reset. Okay, let's paste that again. Let's do maybe there's too many spaces. Okay, next. Let's try again. Maybe we should have copied that part as well. I don't know, like this. Okay, copy. Okay, like this. Maybe it's because we're using for all. Hold up. Let's do for each. Maybe we should actually put the error message. I think I'm putting the wrong thing. I think we need to put that in there. All right, this one. Okay, let's copy that. All right, let's go in there. Let's put it here. Yay, pattern matches the original. Okay, so now we can go and add it, and now we can go and, for example, say value for all is not a number of whatever, right? So we can put a star in here. Okay, and let's go. Let's see next. All right, okay, so you can now define the advice associated with the error. Here's the pattern you have entered, blah, blah. You can optionally leave an email so that we can let you know when your proposal accepted, and a Twitter GitHub handle, blah, blah. Okay, so the advice. Okay, so let's go and grab the advice from the original file. Okay, so it was in Clippy over here. So we're gonna open this with clippy.json. I'm sorry, it was Visual Studio Code. Let's go and find the one for each. Okay, so this is going to be the advice. So I'm just gonna keep it the same. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna say for all is case sensitive. Okay, library group ID and stuff. Let's see. Okay, so we have so it's org Scala lang to x. Okay, so it's org Scala. Scala lang, and over here we're gonna have 2.x. Okay, so email. All right, why not? Let's do info devinsidey.com. Okay, actually let's use mine. Yeah, Pecker devinsidey.com. Twitter, yeah, why not? Okay, devinsidey, and over here it's dev inside you. All right, comment optional. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we have the whole thing. Send. And ta-da! Advice submitted successfully. So you guys should do that all the time, because then it will have a lot of advices and it will be super, super useful. All right, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you today. And, take Clippy for a spin, and as I already mentioned quite a few times, add your own advices. As always, it's been Vlad, devinsidey.com. Don't forget to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to improve the developer inside you, and if you learned something today, consider supporting me on Patreon. But most importantly, take care.